Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles welcoming you to another edition of Lyles Figure Files. Hasbro's been revealing new figures for their various lines every Tuesday. Today it's Marvel Legends, and with Ant-Man and The Wasp Quantumania coming to theaters next Friday, it made sense to debut the Quantumania Marvel Legends wave. I really like this one. It's a good mix of comic book and movie figures. I hate the movie only ones because I've kind of gotten away from just getting movie figures because they're so expensive, $25. Can't get all the Disney Plus, the MCU figures. Got to stick strictly to comic books, and even then I'm waiting till they're cheaper. But as we've seen from Black Panther Wakanda Forever, it might not take that long for these figures to hit that special yellow clearance tag sticker and to get them for a more reasonable rate. But on the surface, these figures look really good. I think they did a great job. I don't really have a lot of complaints with what Hasbro's doing in terms of their figure quality. It's just that price tag that is always like, way too much. So it doesn't make sense to go with the Ant-Man and the Wasp theme wave without starting off with the title characters. Let's take a look at Ant-Man. I think way back from the very first Ant-Man, Hasbro's gotten a really good formula for knocking his figures out. The first one wasn't accurate to how Ant-Man's costume was in the film, but it looked really good all the same. And this one, I think, is a pinnacle of all these Ant-Man figures. The Hot Toys figure was revealed just a few days ago. I think this one, at least on a 6-inch scale, holds up pretty well. It's got a great likeness to Paul Rudd. You see all the texturing of the outfit, all the detail. This is where Hasbro really shines with their Marvel Legends line. It's crammed with so much detail, all the paneling on the front, the belt, the Pym particle changes and so forth. The helmet scaled properly. You can swap that on so you can have the helmet unhelmeted look. And I think some of these Paul Rudd head sculpts we've seen in the past have made him look kind of dorky and kind of weird. This one, I think, is a good heroic portrayal of him. I think it's a really good one. And again, it's kind of comparable to that Hot Toys, clearly not nearly as expensive, but I think they did a good job capturing his likeness in 6-inch scale. Again, so much detail, so much good stuff. He's the one figure in this wave that doesn't come with the Build-A-Figure piece, which is kind of interesting because, you'd figure the title character would have something, but he doesn't. And that kind of works out for those of you who just want the newest, modern, best-looking Ant-Man and have no interest in the Build-A-Figure. But since it's also related to Quantumania, I think you will as well. Let's take a look at the Wasp. Just like Ant-Man, you see that tremendous likeness to Evangeline Lilly. I love that her hair is cut short like Janet in the comic books. I think that's really cool. And her outfit looks great. This is kind of similar to her black and yellow outfits in the comics. Got a little bit of blue in there, a little bit of extra detail. But it's so much great texturing in the folds of her costume. Her wings expand out really nice. These are probably a better looking shade of wings that we've seen. No funny colors, just a stark white. Looks good. The head sculpt, again, is great. We've seen this they're starting to get better with the face painting technology, I think, with each iteration of these characters. So it's kind of fun seeing the MCU actors get rendered in figure form because each movie, each film appearance they're in, their figures get better. So it's nice to see this also being the best version of Evangeline Lilly as well. Love the outfit details. Love that you can take the wings off so you can have multiple versions. She's got a little pack in there so you can plug the wings into the back and then you can take it off so you can have her just like she's chilling, walk around with Scott, hanging out in the Quantumverse. Now, in terms of accessories, they're not really going overboard with this wave. Wasp has a different helmet sculpt so you can swap the heads. You can take swappable hands. You've got those as well. The backpack I already mentioned. So she's got a little bit more than Ant-Man, who just has swappable hands and the helmet. And she also comes with the right leg of the Build-A-Figure Cassie Lang. And now it's time for the big dog, the one who I'm absolutely guaranteed to buy a figure of in Marvel Legends and Hot Toys format when it comes out, because I'm sure we're going to see him soon. Kang the Conqueror, played by Jonathan Majors. No swappable head sculpt with him, so it's just the blue purple head sculpt there for him. So we don't have the Jonathan Majors straight up head sculpt. I guess you could take the version from the He Who Remains. You could take his head sculpt, put it on there, so you kind of got your Kang without the helmet version. But here you go. I'm sure we'll see that one later, probably in a deluxe 2-pack with Ant-Man later on down the road. But for now, we got this straight up regular comic style movie version Kang. I think this figure looks really good. This seems to be where the bulk of the budget went to. So much detail in the costume, like all that great pattern, the details. mean, these figures are looking really good. They're $25, of course, but at least for figures like Kang and Wasp and Ant-Man, where they have so much more detail than the common figure, I can almost kind of see where that price is going towards. But Kang looks really great. All the detail. He also comes with 2 accessories in addition to his swappable hands. That's the Build-A-Figure Cassie heads, a helmeted head and an unhelmeted one. So it's not going to be that same thing, of course, because there's no window packaging anymore. But if you were to open and see it with the package, you'd be like, wow, it comes with so much stuff. Again, I hate these box packages just because you can't see anything anymore. And I think for a figure like Kang, you would want to see the best paint job, because I think that's going to be an area that could be kind of sketchy and kind of like, I wish I could have seen the figure better before I just grab this random box figure and hope for the best. But Kang looks really good, and I think he for sure is a figure a lot of collectors are going to want to get first and foremost, because, you know, if you already got an Ant-Man, you got a Wasp, you kind of got them already. But Kang is a standout looking figure, and I think he's going to be one that a lot of MCU collectors, even lapsed ones like me, are going to want to add to their collection. And then let's just keep it focused on the MCU. So let's go to the Build-A-Figure Cassie Lang. She's the giant size character in the film. Spoiler, thanks a lot Hasbro, because nobody saw her as a giant, even though in the comic book she grows tall like stature and becomes a giant like her dad. So for non-comic book fans, that's like a, hey, why are you ruining this stuff, Hasbro? But for those of us in the know, yeah, we know. And it's kind of interesting that she's got the purple costume and not a red and black one like her comic book appearance, but I guess it's to help separate and not confuse us from Ant-Man and Cassie. Anyhow, she's giant sized, looks pretty good next to the 6-inch scale Ant-Man. I guess I wonder he won't be turning into Giant Man too often in the film, with her becoming super tall and big and all that good stuff. But her figure looks really good. I don't think the likeness is as strong as it is to Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, and Jonathan Majors, but you can kind of fudge it and say like, I guess I kind of see it, maybe, sort of, kind of. But the figure looks good. Great texture detail like we've seen with Ant-Man and the Wasp. She didn't have as many cool accessories, of course, because she's a Build-A-Figure. Even though we've seen some Build-A-Figures lately come with their own accessories, she doesn't. Her only option is basically that swappable helmeted head. And I think that's good to have both versions, so we can have her unhelmeted and with the helmet. Maybe for another 2-pack idea, we could get the Kang the Conqueror with the unhelmeted head sculpt, and we can get a 6-inch scale Cassie, who's shorter, smaller. Of course, that would require them to do a different sculpt for Cassie, so that may take a little bit longer, but at least we have her in giant size, so we can have a full complement of the main characters for Quantumania. We don't have one for Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Keaton's characters, Janet and Hank, in this version, in this universe, but we will have all the other 3 major characters. I assume if there's a big demand for the other ones from Quantumania, we'll see them in another wave. I, of course, appreciate separating and splitting up the waves, so we have more than just the movie figures. We can get some comic book figures out of this. Then, on the comic book front, we've got future Ant-Man, a character I had no idea about until right this moment. He is Dr. Zane Asghar, the Ant-Man of the future. The outfit, the costume looks kind of cool. Apparently in the comic, he travels back in time, meets up with Hank Pym, Scott Lang, and the latest Eric O'Grady to do some work and stop All-Father Ultron. I have no knowledge of this. Modern Marvel is a little bit beyond me at this point, but the figure looks good and it mixes up a bit. I think it's kind of funny we get this version of Ant-Man before a classic, great version of Hank Pym, because we still need that before we got that scrawny Spider-Man mold for the retro card Ant-Man. So we still need a great Hank Pym figure in his original incarnation, and I'm still waiting for that figure. I'm still using the Toy Biz one, which is basically the Scott Lang head sculpt, but I use that as my default Ant-Man. We still need a better Ant-Man in this line based off of Hank Pym in his original version of the outfit. Ditto for Janet, because I feel like this was a perfect wave to do her as well, since we have Cassie, we've got Scott, we've got Hope. Could have done Hank and Jan, complete the whole set just with comic book versions of Hank and Jan, because we need them. Maybe a 2-pack later on down the road of them, their comic book attires, but it's kind of overdue. I feel like they keep getting shortchanged with this. This is a 3rd Ant-Man movie, and we haven't had great Ant-Man versions, period. And we've gotten a couple good versions of the Wasp, but she's a character that you can keep cranking out different versions of Wasp as often as you do Iron Man and Thor figures, and she's kind of behind on that front. So hopefully we'll see them later on down the road. But future Ant-Man or Ant-Man of the future, nice looking figure. Not a whole lot to him. I really think this is a missed opportunity, however, to have a separate head sculpt just to show, hey, we've got more characters, more diverse characters in our universe. So it's kind of weird they didn't include a separate head sculpt. But anyway, this figure looks pretty good. Another comic book figure that I was surprised to see, even though I think he might have actually been on these leaked lists, was Crossfire. Crossfire is a great villain in the sense that he intersects and interacts with so many heroes. Captain America, Hawkeye, Thing, Mockingbird. He's a great villain to just plop in there. He teams up with the Controller as well, so you've got another villain team up you can work with here. The UFOs, if we ever get around to getting them. Crossfire's got a nice, unique look, and his figure turned out exceptionally well. He's got a rifle and actually has a blast and vapor trail effects, so that's great. Got swappable fist as well. It's got a little bandolier so he can strap his rifle up behind him. Really like the head sculpt. I think they did a great job with that. It's a nice looking figure. I think he's using the Spider-Man UK mold. That's a pretty good one. Got the butterfly shoulders, and it's a nice looking figure. Not too much to it, not too many complicated sculpting elements, but it works, and that's all we need sometimes. Just get a nice figure, adding to the collection, especially villains, little fringe ones like Crossfire. Great choice, great selection. I think he works well with the Ant-Man wave, even though he didn't really have a whole lot of connection to Ant-Man personally. Now we do have a villain that has a deep, close tie to Ant-Man, and that's Egghead. Egghead looks okay. I think he could have been a little shorter, little rounder. The head sculpt was great, but I think they kind of missed out on the opportunity to create a mold that was a little big, that could work with a suit jacket, that we could also repurpose for Doc Ock in that suit mold. You know, when he's rocking the white Armani suit. That was a great look for Doc Ock. And, you know, that's probably the next one we haven't seen outside of, I guess, the Spider-Man animated series influence one. So this would have been a good opportunity to work that, introduce that mold into the fold so they could bring that out later. But Egghead looks okay. I really love the head sculpt. I just think he could have been a little bit bigger because he doesn't need to be in shape. He's not supposed to be some big athletic dude. He's kind of portly, small, and it's not about him being a physical match for Ant-Man or Giant Man, whatever. He's just a scientist, got a little gun with him, but I really love that creepy head sculpt. I think they did a great job on that, but probably could have been shorter, a little bit rounder. But it's nice to see Ant-Man's main nemesis introduced to the fold in Marvel Legends. And finally, we have another main nemesis, if you will, of Ant-Man. Hank Pym, Yellow Jacket, all his various iterations. It's another version of Ultron. And at first I was like, why are we getting another Ultron? We've already got the classic Ultron that we already needed. And it's great to have that in figure form. It's one of my favorite villain Marvel Legends figures in my collection, in my display. But Hasbro tweaked this one up a little bit, gave us a different helmet. So you can see in the original Ultron that we got, the eyes go up with a triangle this way. This one, they go back. Little difference is the earpiece goes down. There's no wide open mouth to put that Kirby crackle in there. So it's different enough, and Ultron changes his look so often. You can get away with doing this. I don't think this is as essential a figure as that original one, especially because it's going to be $25. I think this figure could be one collectors pick up, those that missed out on the original comic classic version. And so this one won't hit that clearance rate that some of these other figures, I am sure, looking at Egghead, looking at Crossfire, will hit at some point down the road in 2023. But I think this Ultron's a nice addition. So if you want to army build Ultron figures, this is an option. Or if you just want to have different versions of Ultron, it'd be cool to have that one in that big pod chamber version where he's running around. I think that was Ultron 5 maybe. But anyway, this is a cool Ultron, especially if you didn't get the first one. It's nice to see him in this fold. So if you didn't need to get an Ultron before, you got another option. Or if you missed out, here you go. So all in all, a pretty strong wave. We've got 4 MCU figures, 4 comic book figures, 3 villains, 1 hero from the future. I don't know who you even put Ant-Man in the future with, but it's great to get 3 villains in one wave, and 4 MCU figures, 4 comic book figures. Nice split right down the middle. And I'd love to see that be the norm for every other movie going forward with Marvel Legends. But I think this is a pretty decent wave. I think at some point you're going to see most of these figures hit clearance. They're going up for pre-order tomorrow. I have the links up on the channel momentarily. As soon as it hits tomorrow, they drop. I'll post them up on the link so you can see them. But let me know what you think about this wave. Are you excited about it? Are you excited about Quantumania? And are you, like me, really looking forward to seeing what that Hot Toys Kang the Conqueror figure looks like as well? All right, thank you as always for watching. This episode of Louse Figure Files has been filed.